Sales are easy. It's making the call that's hard. Hi, my name is Dave Gallegos. I've spent the last 25 years in the mortgage industry and a lifetime in sales. In this show, I'll bring that experience, expertise, and the experts I've met to you with actionable advice to improve your sales. It's not magic. You just make the call. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode number 5 of Make the Call, where sales is easy, making the call is what's hard. And today, a subject that I'm really passionate about when it comes to making the call because of just my experience in the mortgage business ever since I got in the business back in 1997 and everything that I went through, everything that I was exposed to, and then where that's led me today and the evolution of all of that. That's what I want to talk about. So the concept here is just committing to be a true professional and why I think that's important and why tapping into your why behind this career choice is so important to me and should be important to you. First, let's talk philosophically for a second, because one of the things I've always said about the mortgage business is, you make great money doing one transaction. Same thing in the real estate space. You make a great living doing one transaction. If you did 12 transactions a month in the current real estate environment that we're operating in, you'd make nearly, you'd make 150 grand a year, and that's a great living. And in the mortgage space, you'd have to do more than that to make that much, but not a lot more. And so I've always said this about the business is that you don't have to be great at this to make a decent living. I wish that wasn't true, but it is. And the reason I think the reason I wish it wasn't true is because the clients that we serve are counting on us to be professionals. Make no mistake about it. A client wouldn't commit to working with you to get them to buy a home or sell a home for them or use you for a mortgage if they weren't absolutely convinced that you had their best interest at heart. They believe that you're looking out for their best interest. And I don't think somebody who's not truly committed to being the highest level of professional that they can be can do that for them. And that's really sad because, again, you don't have to be truly professional. You don't have to be fully committed to be able to make a decent living at this. And that's sad. And so I'm really not probably somebody who's like that isn't bothering to listen to this podcast. So this is for everybody else. This is for those of you that that see this as a higher calling. I'm super passionate about helping people buy homes because I believe that everything about a person's financial future and life, their future life, is better if they become homeowners. The wealth building opportunity, the net worth building opportunity, the community that it creates, the stability in the family, the list is endless. And so what a great career path that you're doing something that matters and that makes a difference in people's lives. This is one of the things that I fell in love with the business when I first got in it. What I was exposed to, though, when I first got into the business was kind of sketchy, right? Lots of sketchy sales type companies where it wasn't really about being committed to doing what was best for the client. It wasn't really about being committed to becoming the very best professional that you could become. It was really more about how many deals can I close, which is important, but it was really about how many deals can I close more than it was about how good can I get at this profession and see how many deals I can close. And I think there's a distinct difference that people really ought to take into consideration. That's what today's message is you should want to be the very best version of a professional that you can possibly be, simply because the clients that you're helping are expecting that from you. And they deserve that from you, especially with the amount of income that you're going to be able to earn doing a transaction with them, right? That makes sense. Everybody understands that. So what do I mean by professionalism? I'm talking about becoming an expert at what you do, first of all, like really studying the craft. If you're in mortgage lending, that means understanding everything there is for you to be able to understand about all the different mortgage programs and lending guidelines that apply to those programs so that you can give your client the best possible advice and guidance and service. When it comes to lending, it would mean having a really strong understanding of what is it that makes somebody financially stable in their business, like budgeting and how they manage their credit and savings. And, having, instead of just being excited about being able to close a loan and get a commission check, what if you were actually guiding the customer and giving them advice and guidance on their finances and their financial future so that you're making sure that you're getting them in the best possible situation that they can possibly be in? There's nothing worse. During the mortgage meltdown leading up to that, there were horror stories about people who just, got talked into mortgages they couldn't afford. And that's what led to a lot of this, is that people were buying out. People didn't understand what they were signing up for. Should they have understood? Yes, they absolutely should have understood. I don't think that anybody's 100% absolvable, but there's some really good salespeople on the planet that can talk people into almost anything. And I realized at a very early point in my career that the clients are counting on me to be the best professional that I could possibly be. And I felt like that carried with it a huge responsibility in becoming as extremely educated as I possibly could on helping them structure the best possible financing options for themselves and their families. Nothing worse than helping somebody buy a home that they end up losing in foreclosure because we over leveraged them and we didn't give them enough guidance. And that happened far too often, which is how we ended up in the mortgage meltdown back in 2008, 9, and 10. So that's the first thing, is becoming an expert at your craft. The second thing is integrity, like doing what you say you're going to do, not being deceptive, following through. A customer would never go out and write an earnest money check that's going to get cashed and they could possibly lose if a lender didn't convince them they were going to get the mortgage. You have an obligation as a loan officer to be 100% right in their ability to be able to get that mortgage. And if you're not sure what you're doing when it comes to that, then you should stop and get the education that you need so that you can make sure. You should never tell somebody they're getting a loan. I shouldn't have to say this, but it happens. It happens far too often where customer was never getting a loan, but they were told they were getting a loan. And it's just because the loan officer didn't do the due diligence they were required to do. And they didn't care that much if they got the deal or not. So they were hoping it would work and it didn't work. And, oh, well, you lost your earnest money. That's not okay. And so that's what I mean by integrity. And then the last thing is commitment to the craft, commitment to the client, commitment to the partners, commitment to yourself for the kind of person that you want to be. Like, I know this, and I've said this a lot, and I'll say it again. You'll hear me say this over and over again. At the end of my career, I want to look back on it and be proud of the work I did and the people that I helped and served, because I just want to be proud of it. And I think most people feel that way. I don't know if enough people in our profession give it that level of care and concern. And again, let's go back to, we have an obligation to do it because the customer thinks you're doing it. It's really that simple. Now, let's be honest. If that's how you are, if that's the kind of professional that you are, your business is going to thrive because your clients are going to know it, they're going to feel it, and they're going to experience that service from you, that expertise, that guidance, that advice that makes a difference, that improves their situation, that gives them financing options they never even considered, that, make a huge difference in somebody's future. That's the most gratifying thing I can think of to be doing for a living. And it's the thing that I've enjoyed the most about this profession, is being able to provide that kind of service and advice to people. What I mean by that is your business is going to thrive, is that they're going to come back and they're going to do business with you again and again, and then they're going to refer you again and again. In addition to the advice and the professionalism, it's the service that you provide. Closing on time, closing under budget, closing with no surprises, which is our slogan here at Zenith, is closing loans on time, under budget, with no surprises. That's the kind of business, that's the kind of professionalism that when you provide it, people are attracted to you. Real estate agents want to work with you. They want to refer their clients to you. They know that if you say they're getting a loan, the customer gets a loan every single time. I want to talk about that a little bit more. We've made, one of the things that we've always done here at Zenith is we've marketed what we call the Zenith Trauma Center for when another lender has told a customer they're getting a loan, they go under contract, they write the earnest money check, they're a few days or sometimes a day before closing, finding out that the other lender can't do the loan. And we market that because we want the opportunity to see if there's a way to get that customer a loan. And I would say about half the time, we're able to do the loan that the other company can't do, not because they don't have the ability to do it, because they don't know how. They lack the professionalism, they lack the commitment. The other half of the time, the customer was never qualified for a loan and was never going to get one. And that's just as bad because they're going to lose their earnest money. And so that's what being committed to being a true professional can do for you. So committing to being a true professional connects back to your why, doesn't it? We've talked about that in previous episodes where the power of a why, the why behind why you're doing the work that you're doing. If you're doing it, in my case, it was to support my family at the highest possible level. And I was going to be able to support them at a higher level if I was better at my profession. And if I was better at my profession, I was going to have more business. It was all just a circle. So that's how I connected to it. It was important to me. And that's the why behind why I did the work that I did. And since we're talking about why, the other why for me was striving for excellence. I wanted to be great at what I did. And the reason that I say I wanted to be great is because I know it's fun to be great. It's fun to be excellent at your craft. It's fun to know that you're doing work at a really high level. You take two businesses in the same line of work, two restaurants, one where you walk in and everything goes like it's supposed to go. It's a great experience. It's friendly. It's clean. It's fast. It's good. It's what you expect. And then you walk into another restaurant where it's not like that. It's a little dirty. Nobody's greeting you. They're not very friendly. It's sloppy. It takes a long time for your food to come out. Both serving food. One's an excellent experience. One's an average experience. Who do you think's having more fun running those businesses? The guy doing this, not the guy doing this. And it's important to remember that because every one of us that sells homes or helps people finance those homes can deliver that kind of an experience. And I promise you, if you decide to plug into a system like that, you're going to have a lot more fun. So you should strive for that. And anyone can do it. It doesn't matter where you're working. Anyone can do it. So make that commitment to yourself. You'll be glad you did. Because here's what can happen. If you make that commitment to yourself, you can inspire those around you to want to do the same thing. I know that that's been my focus. It's what we talk about here at my company on a regular basis, but we talk about being the best that we can possibly be and creating that experience that we know those customers are going to want. And for all the reasons around it, because I believe all of us, whether we admit it or not, I think all of us want to know that we're doing meaningful work and that the work has a positive impact. And I don't know if we think about it consciously. I know that unconsciously we all hope, I'm certain that all of us hope through it, unless, you got a screw loose. We all hope for that. And by deciding that you're going to commit to being the very best professional that you can be, you're going to be able to deliver on that. And when you do, those around you are going to be inspired by your actions and want to do more. But you have to lead. And it starts with individuals. It doesn't start with organizations. It starts with individuals. Now, somebody at the top's got to be singing that song and leading the choir in that approach. But if they're not, then yeah, I guess you probably ought to consider whether or not you're in the right environment for that. But you can still lead yourself and inspire those around you, which is as important as any of the other work that I've talked about. Because here's the deal. When it's all said and done, we're only here for a short time. We're only doing this work for a short time, and then we're going to be gone. And I promise that all of us are going to wish we left a legacy behind. And the question is, what's that legacy going to be? Is it going to be something you're proud of, something that your family is proud of, something that your coworkers are proud of? Or is it going to be something that nobody's going to care and no one's going to think that much of what you accomplish? And like I said, I hope that you're not living a life like that. You've got to be able to plug into a higher purpose. And because if you are, you're missing the boat. You're missing an opportunity to make a difference. And, I think a lot of us have experienced that situation where we meet the client who struggles to be able to be in a position to buy a home, to working with the right real estate agent, working with the right mortgage professional that can help them prepare for everything that's going to go into a situation like that. And this really applies to any profession that you're in. And when you do that successfully and you create a successful outcome and they become successful homeowners, it isn't just becoming a homeowner, it's a successful homeowner, one that can manage the financial aspects of it, and really their life does improve because they became a homeowner. You know you've made a huge difference and you've left a legacy. And the question is it going to be the kind of legacy you're proud of and that you want to, I want to drive by the homes I help people buy and ask them how they're doing and making sure that everything's working the way that it was supposed to work on the mortgage side. And if you're a realtor on the real estate side, these become lifetime clients and they become, as I talked about before, I've got clients that I'm best friends with today that I did mortgages for 25 years ago. And so that's the opportunity for the legacy. And then it's your professional legacy, which I think is going to matter. Not as important as your family legacy, of course, but it doesn't even come close. But knowing that you did your profession at a high level, I think is a big deal for all of us. So I guess that's my question for all of you today. Does your why behind the work you do, does the why make you cry? Because if it doesn't make you cry, you got to rethink the way you're doing it. Not because it should be blubbery crying, it should be inspiring. We're helping people with the biggest transaction of their life. In almost every situation, it's the biggest transaction of their life, and it involves the three most important things that people have in their lives: their family, their money, and their home. Doesn't that inspire you? I hope so. It inspires me. It inspires me to want to be the very best professional that I can possibly be for my clients, the very best professional that I can possibly be for my coworkers, the very best professional that I can possibly be for myself, for my self-respect, for my legacy, because legacy does matter. And I know it's going to matter to you. If you're taking the time to listen to this, I know it's something that's important to all of us. So that's the message for today. Become the very best version of yourself that you can possibly become. Become the best professional that you can possibly become. How does that tie back to making the call and becoming a better salesperson? We can talk about that in further episodes. But at the end of the day, you're going to have a much higher level of confidence when it comes to making sales calls if you know you've committed to being the very best professional that you can possibly be. I can promise you that. Have an awesome day, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Make the Call with Dave Gallegos, brought to you by Zenith Home Loans. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the show anywhere you listen to podcasts and share the show with a friend or colleague who would also find value.